Hey guys, it's Mali-chan here. I know I've been inactive for a long time. I know I promised to come back sometime in December, and it's February now, so sorry. So, since I'm back, I want us to go back to 2020 for a bit. Don't boo me, okay? It's for a good cause. It's for a good cause. It's because today I will be talking about the top 20 games that I played in 2020. Now, disclaimer though, it's going to be the top 20 games that I played in 2020 and not the top 20 games that came out in 2020 because have you seen that kwacha, bro? Like, who's gonna be affording to buy all those games as soon as they come out? Not me. Well, let's hop to it. So, number 20 on this list is Blazblue Crosstag Battle. Blazblue Crosstag Battle is a 2D crossover fighting game developed and published by Arc System Works and was released on PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Microsoft Windows. It features characters from different franchises, including Blazblue, Persona 4 Arena, and Under Night In-Birth and Ruby. Now, I for one am not good at fighters, but you know, I was pulled in by this game mostly because I heard there were going to be Persona characters in it. But I was quickly enthralled by all the other characters. I ended up falling in love with them as well. I wanted to get to know their games better. I mean, I guess that's the whole point of a crossover game, am I right? You know? I found myself in the practice menus, trying to get to know all the other characters, trying to see how they handle, trying to understand how their mechanics work, you know? So this game comes with different modes, one of these modes being the story mode, which allows you to play as any of the protagonists from the 4 respective games, and you get to experience the story from the 4 different views. The story mode is actually quite worthwhile because it's not necessarily different because keep in mind it's everybody experiencing what's happening around them, but through their own kind of a perspective. But you know, the character interactions are really fun to see, and they're really funny just to see how everyone from all the different franchises interacts with each other. Did I also mention that the lobby area lets you use these cute chibi characters? I mean, just look at that. Isn't that adorable? It's adorable. I think this is a fun game that anyone can play, whether you're into fighters or not, you know, I would recommend this to you because it's one of those games that just never stops giving. And on number 19, we have Borderlands, the Legendary Collection. Now keep in mind, this game counts as 3 games in one. Comes with a prequel, comes with Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. So Borderlands, basically the general premise of Borderlands is that it's an open world action role-playing first-person shooter. The game's story focuses on a group of 4 vault hunters who travel to the distant planet of Pandora to search for the vault, which is rumored to contain ancient advanced alien technology and other priceless riches. I ended up going onto this game because my brother was the one that persuaded me to get it because he wanted a game that we could all play at once. So this game actually has a multiplayer mode. You can play up to 4 people. That's couch co-op, so that was hard to say. That's couch co-op, so if you're looking for something new and your siblings, you and Bae can play, this is for you. Number 18 on my list is Among Us. Yep, I don't even have to tell you guys what Among Us is. Wait, did someone just say they don't know what Among Us is? Really, dude? Really? Oh, fine, I'll tell you. So Among Us is a game where you and a few other crewmates find yourself on a spaceship, but one of the crewmates is an imposter. While the other crewmates are going about doing their routine tasks, the imposter has to try and kill everyone without being found out. There's normally a little discussion after a body is found, where everyone has to try and deduce who the imposter is, while the imposter pretends to be a regular crewmate. For me, I suck at being imposter. I was raised in a Christian household. I don't lie. Okay, maybe I just suck at being imposter. The thing about being imposter is that you have to have stone cold alibi. Like, most imposters I've seen will lie to your face. So this game is fun whether you're a crewmate or whether you're the imposter because most people will argue and tell you that being the imposter is the most fun. But for me, it's honestly super stressful. Like, I'll be thinking like, okay, I have to try and not look suspicious. While this person is doing their task, I should pretend that I'm doing mine and blah, 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 blah. So, you know, it gets kind of tough in that. And then as a crewmate, it's basically like you're just livestock waiting to be killed. Unless you finish all your tasks. This was another game that really kept me connected to my friends last year because you know it's fun, it's easy, anyone can pick this up. Like I have a lot of friends that don't generally game, but they were able to hop onto this, especially due to the availability of the game. It's on phone, it's on PC, and just recently it hopped onto Switch. And also there are rumors, well not rumors, it's been confirmed that it's going onto Xbox. It's really easy for anyone to pick up. You don't have to be a gamer to play this game. It's super easy to play, and I'd recommend this to anyone. Yes, my fellow Jojo tards, there is a Jojo game on PS4 that you can pick up today and start playing. The narrative, overseen by Araki, takes place immediately after the events of Stardust Crusaders. Jotaro Kujo and his allies, who have just defeated the evil Emperor Dio, are suddenly attacked by friends and enemies who have either disappeared or died along the way. So, from this synopsis, I hope you can tell that this game is going to get spoilery. I mean that if you haven't at least watched up to part 3, you're going to know who dies in part 3, who's died in part 2. If you haven't started Jojo and you're thinking of starting it, this game will spoil you on a lot of things. And also it might spoil you on future parts that are not even animated yet, because it includes all parts of Jojo 1 through 8. So if you're not looking to get spoiled on that, I will advise you to stay away from this game. So this game is post part 3, so spoilers. After they managed to kill Dio, Jotaro's friends who died ended up coming back to fight him. They were evil. They were reanimated by something. So he ends up fighting them. Of course, power of friendship, blah blah blah. They join up with Jotaro, and then a lot of bad guys that they fought in the past were reanimated. So they end up going on a journey. Yep, another journey. They end up going on a journey to find out who was causing this and find out the main route and all that. So this game is pretty dated. I'm not even going to lie to you. It doesn't look that good. The textures are a bit shiny and everything. It really is. I think this game came out on PS3 at first, so it looks a bit dated. But this game was a love letter to the fans of this series, because I think it was really nice to see characters that were not even animated yet. Like for somebody that's read part 7 and 8, it was nice to hear people voiced and see them in action rather than just seeing them in the manga. So I would advise you to pick this up, especially if you're a huge Jojo fan. Now if you know me personally, you're probably thinking,
dude, why is this game even on your list? You're always complaining about it.
Leave me be. This game and I are in a toxic relationship, okay? Don't just mind your business. So the plot follows Aloy, a young hunter in the world that's overrun by machines, who sets out to uncover her past. Now this is just literally a very basic way to put the plot, because the plot of Horizon Zero Dawn is much deeper than that. When you start the game, everything seems, a little on the light side. You think, oh, the story might be straightforward, but as you play more, it starts to get deeper and you start to realize like, whoa, okay, the story here is actually much deeper than what they're presenting to us in the beginning. It's a really pretty game. If anything, if you just like good visuals, even if you just don't want to play this game, I would advise you to get it because it's so good looking. The environment is nice. Aloy is also really pretty. It's just one of those games that makes you want to take pictures like at every second. Like you have your photo mode open after like every minute. Now the thing with this game is it is one of the tough ones. I was playing on, should have been the normal, and it was tough. Had me thinking like, I can't believe this isn't like the hardest difficulty. Like how hard would it be on the hardest difficulty? So if you're one of those gaming masochists that likes hard games, this one is for you. The adventures of Nathan Drake as he tries to discover some treasure with some friends while the bad guys try to kill him and take the treasure for himself. Yes, I'm talking about Uncharted. Uncharted 4 in this case. So this is set 3 years after the conclusion of Drake's deception, A Thief's End. It follows Nathan Drake, now a retired fortune hunter, as he reunites with his long-lost brother Samuel and seeks to save him from a ruthless tyrant by setting off on another adventure that involves finding Captain Avery's legendary fabled pirate treasure. So now, before playing this, the only Uncharted knowledge I had was, I think I briefly played A Thief's End on PlayStation 2, and I had finished is it Uncharted Golden Abyss or something, the one that's on PS Vita. I had played that one. And those were the only Uncharted games I had ever played. Don't at me, okay? I didn't have a console as a kid. Leave me be. So being able to play Uncharted 4 was actually pretty great. It was basically my full dive into Uncharted, and gosh, it was beautiful. What I really liked about Uncharted 4 is that even if you hadn't necessarily played the other games, it was very easy for me to jump in and understand the story. I wasn't lost at any point, you know. I wasn't going, I need to watch one of those recap videos just to try and understand like where, you know, the story left off, you know. So most of the stuff was like already explained and elaborated, so it was very easy for me to pick it up and understand. And then another thing I loved about Uncharted 4 is that it's the perfect mix between combat, exploration, and puzzle solving. And if you like all three of these things, don't even hesitate to pick this game up. Thief's End is another one of those that I just think everyone has to play at least once in their lifetime. So if you ever do have the chance to play it, you should. Imagine you, an average Joe, receives a letter to go to one of the most prestigious schools in the country. Schools where rich kids and talented kids alike go. And you, excited as you are, head to the school. And then suddenly, bam, you're trapped in the school and you are told that the only way to leave the school is to kill your fellow classmates and to get away with it. Sound like the plot of some harem anime? Oh no, it's Danganronpa. So basically, in this game, everyone wants to escape the school that they're trapped in, so classmates will end up trying to kill other classmates, and it's up to you to play detective, to go around gathering clues as you try to find out who done it. The catch here is, if you discover the killer, their punishment is death, but if you don't, the killer goes free while everyone else dies. It's kill or be killed. If there's a visual novel that can get your heart racing and having nightmares about a monochromatic bear, it's this one. The cases in the game get progressively harder as you solve them, because I guess the new killers learn from the previous ones or something like that. But there's nothing more satisfying than foiling the killer's plan and discovering who it was that did it and watching them cry and break down as you sentence them to death. Oh, that sounded kind of dark. Did I really write that in the script? You should grab this if you like those crime-solving, point-and-click adventure type of games. Though I would like to give a disclaimer against this game, though it really isn't for kids, because some of the deaths in this game are pretty gruesome, and if you just get triggered easily, this game will probably not be for you. Like, even if you just don't like cartoon violence, some of the deaths may trigger you, so I'll caution against that. Be careful. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm a huge nerd for RPGs, JRPGs, anything of the type. So of course Genshin made it onto this list. So Genshin Impact is an open world action role-playing game that allows the player to control one of 4 interchangeable characters in a party. Switching between characters can be done quickly during combat, allowing the player to use several different combinations of skills and attacks. So now, that's just putting the plot lightly. There's a whole plot in this going on, and I think this is just one of those that anyone should go ahead and play for themselves and not hear it from somebody else. It's easily accessible, it's on mobile phone, it's on PC, and it's on PS4. Best part is that it's free. So I think if you like this kind of thing, everyone should go ahead and get it. So this game was absolutely my cup of tea because of the cyberpunk setting, because cyberpunk is actually one of my favorite genres. This is a pretty chill visual novel where you take control of the MC, Jill Stingray, who works in a bar. The whole premise of the game is pretty simple. You're a bartender, you serve drinks to people that come to get the drinks. Make sure you serve them the right ones, of course, because sometimes their orders are pretty vague. They'll be like,
Give me something sweet.
and you give them something sweet and they're like,
No, this isn't what I wanted.
like, dude, just order the drink you want, maybe? But I think the whole, what really pulled me in is just hearing everybody's stories, because of course when you serve them drinks, they start telling you about stuff, they tell you about their life and all that. And I think that's pretty interesting, you know. It's one of those games whereby if somebody was to tell you about it, you'd be like, oh, that sounds pretty boring. But when you actually do get to playing it, it's really immersive. The music is great. The visuals are really fitting. And if you love cyberpunk, I think that this would be the game for you. So last year I managed to snag the Ace Attorney trilogy on Switch, and oh gosh, I absolutely loved the series. So Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney is a visual novel adventure where the player takes the role of Phoenix Wright, a rookie defense attorney, and attempts to defend their clients. You know, in my opinion, these games are so fun that you even end up forgetting that it's a visual novel. It's very similar to Danganronpa in that, you know, you look for clues and you try to find evidence. Except this one is more domesticated, I guess. Like, anyone can play it. Of course, sometimes they show like how the deaths happen, but they're not as gruesome as in Danganronpa. So I would advise this one for you if you think you can play Danganronpa, but you still want this kind of game. So in this game, it has two portions. So there's the first portion, which is like you doing field work basically. When you go as Phoenix, you go out into the field trying to gather clues. You know, you go to the scene of the crime to see what happened and find all those kind of clues. And then the second part of the game is when you go to court to defend your client now. So for some reason, the witnesses in this game tend to give false testimonies. So it's your job as the attorney to point out these contradictions with your evidence and prove what really happened. Pointing out contradictions is my favorite part because you get to yell out "Objection!" really loud, and that's like the best part in the game, you know. Have you ever wanted to play chess but you find it too dull? Well, Fire Emblem Three Houses is a game for you. Three Houses is a tactical RPG in which you play as the main character, a mercenary who ends up being appointed as a teacher at a prestigious monastery. I know that sounds domestic, but this game is set during wartime, so what you're teaching the kids is literally how to fight in the war or whatever. You aren't teaching them their ABCs. I had never played a Fire Emblem game before this, so if you're like me, the combat might look strange to you because it's not necessarily like first person or whatever. When you start, the game presents it shows you the terrain, and you also get to see a bunch of your soldiers, if I can call them that, your students on the battlefield, as well as the enemies. So you each take turns moving your soldiers or whatever until you get to each other, and then you can start fighting. Of course, it is really kind of like interactive chess, honestly. The part that I really like as well is that you really do feel like the teacher, in that you get to teach your students whatever you want them to be. So the game features different classes. So you can teach your student more about spears if you want them to be a spear class, or more about axes if you want them to axe class, you know, how to horse ride if you want them to be a horse riding unit, and you know, it's really up to you how you mold your students. But most of them have strengths, so it's better if you play to their strengths, but you really can mold the students to what you want them to be. If you like tactical RPGs and waifus, this game is for you. I think I've spent almost 60 hours in this game and I'm still not 100% done with it. It has so much to give. There are like 3 routes, 4 actually. This is kind of spoilery, but I won't go into details. There's a secret route that you can do. So there's 4 routes that you can take in this whole game. I've only done 2 so far. So that's 60 hours. And my number 9 game is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a fighting game for up to 8 players in which characters from Nintendo games and other third-party franchises might knock each other out of the arena. I know it sounds super basic, but this game is a lot of fun, especially if you have more than one person to play with, like more than you. I play this with my siblings all the time. It keeps us super entertained. It's a lot of fun. Starting this, as a person that doesn't play much fighters, I remember when I started this game, I was button mashing a lot, just trying to get whatever combos I could in. But as the game went on, I found myself wanting to learn the characters and, you know, trying to see like how does this person work, what do I need to do to play them better, what do I need to do to, you know, play their strengths, what their weaknesses. You know, you find yourself doing that because, you know, it's so fun. It's also really fun seeing characters from other franchises that you never thought would have met. I mean, like, really, which other game would let you see Kirby and Cloud in the same place? Look at this, they're so different. It's a really fun party game. It's one of those games that keeps you really entertained if you have like a lot of people to play with. It's a good play. I think everyone should play this game if they do get the chance, especially if you're into fighters. Hollow Knight, another game that I have a love-hate relationship with. So Hollow Knight is a 2D Metroidvania action-adventure game that takes place in Hallownest, a fictional ancient kingdom. The player controls an insect-like silent and nameless knight while exploring the underground world. I immediately fell in love with the animation style for this game. It's so easy on the eyes, it's so cute. You know, it really just makes you want to look at it more. Now for me, music can make or break a game. And the music in this game really made it. I love how when you go to each area, the music perfectly represents what you might be getting to in whatever new area you might be accessing. The music perfectly fits the areas. The theme songs for certain big enemies perfectly fits. It's a great game. Now, disclaimer, this game isn't for the faint of heart. I'm not saying this because it's scary or anything. I'm saying this because it's hard. This game is it's really hard. Like, if you're one of those people that like to breeze through a game, it's not gonna let you. You will die multiple times to the same enemies, and you will die because of stupid reasons, like you accidentally fell off. But it keeps you wanting more. There's nothing more satisfying than beating that enemy that has kicked your butt over 5 times. So this, I would definitely recommend, especially if you are into the Dark Souls game. Now we can talk about Yakuza 0. This was my entry into the Yakuza series. It's a prequel, so it's a great place to start. So Yakuza 0 is set in Japan's bubble era, a period of extremely high property prices in Japan during the second half of the 1980s. The game's 2 principal locations are Kamurocho, Tokyo, and Sotenbori, Osaka. Based in these 2 districts are the 2 protagonists, Kazuma Kiryu and Goro Majima respectively. So in this game we have 2 protagonists. Kiryu, who's been accused of murder, which he didn't do. And we have Majima. Majima has been kicked out of the Yakuza for violating some certain rules, but he wants to find his way back into the Yakuza because that's the only life he knows. This game impressed me not only because of the myriad amount of story content we were presented with, it also gave us a myriad amount of side quests. Like, there's so many side quests in this game that when you finish the story, you unlock a mode called Premium Adventure Mode. And in that mode, it allows you to roam the open world without the pressure of the main story. You get to do whatever you want, you know, you can play the mini games. The main story basically doesn't exist in there, and you can just do whatever you want. I went into this game expecting a game about tough guys beating up other tough guys, but it gave me so much more. Also, the disco is the best mini game, don't at me.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Skyrim. This game. This is another one that I ended up playing because of the memes. Because, you know, like sometimes I see memes for games and I'm like, you know, I might actually want to play this and see what it's about. So I ended up grabbing Skyrim, and gosh, I came for the memes, I stayed for the game. It's a good game. So in Skyrim, the game's main story revolves around the player's character, the Dragonborn, on their quest to defeat Alduin, the World Eater, a dragon who is prophesied to destroy the world. Now that's just the main quest. That's just the main quest where you're supposed to kill the big dragon that's trying to end the world and stuff. But there's so much side content. Like, there is a lot of side content whereby you would even think, is this part of the main story? Like, you would check and it's like, oh, it's a side quest? You know? There's so many quests in this game for you to do. There's so much for you to discover. It was so easy for me to get lost in the world of Skyrim. I could swear that Skyrim is a time machine because there was this one time, I'm pretty sure I was playing for an hour, but my brother was like, dude, you've been on for like 3 hours? Animal Crossing New Horizons. Now, if you're keeping tabs on gaming news, you probably have heard about this one and how it took the quarantine world by storm last year, and I was definitely taken along with it. So in this installation of Animal Crossing, your character buys a getaway package and you end up owning a deserted island that you become like the mayor of, you know. What I liked about this is that this game is pretty much like the definition of the world is your oyster. There's no there's no plot really. You just get to do whatever you want to do. You can water your plants, make a farm, pay the mortgage for your house, extend your house, talk to your neighbors. You know, it's up to you. You can do whatever. And this was one of those games that I was excited about because it even had a multiplayer feature. So I got to play this with my brothers. We've sunk so many hours into this game, just playing together, maintaining the island, you know, watering our plants and talking to our favorite villagers. This is a life sim, so it's also one of those games that never stops giving. Nintendo is also currently, they keep putting out updates for this game, adding new items, adding new content, new events. So it's one of those games that doesn't stop giving. So if you're looking for a game that will keep you occupied for a good while, I will recommend this. So I only managed to get my hands on Final Fantasy VII towards the end of the year. And I had been looking forward to this game because I had played a little bit of the original, so getting to see that it was being remade really just made my heart flutter. So it's set in the dystopian cyberpunk metropolis of Midgar. Players play mercenary Cloud Strife. He joins Avalanche, an eco-terrorist group trying to stop the powerful mega-corporation Shinra from using the planet's life essence as an energy source. So the original game initially came out in 1997, so it's pretty dated. It was on PlayStation. And I mean like PlayStation, like the first, not even like PlayStation 1, if I can call it that. This remake was also like a love letter to the fans of the previous series. But not only is it that, it's also a loud and resounding hello for new fans looking to get into the series of Final Fantasy or just getting to know Cloud Strife and his friends. The music in the original was already pretty good, you know, given the limiting factors they had. But this time around they went all out with the music. The music for this game was perfect. The remade music was perfectly done. I recommend this game not only because of my husbandos, Cloud and Sephiroth, but because there's a great story there, the gameplay is fun, it keeps you really entertained. I think I finished this game in about 30 hours. That was on the normal difficulty. I'm pretty sure if I was playing it on a harder difficulty, it would have taken me way more time. So I might do that and see how long I take, but it was fun, but it was a little challenging. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Now this was a game that was basically shadow dropped. They just dropped it. Nintendo didn't even really build up the hype for it. They just suddenly announced it and they're like, oh, in a month we're having a new game. In the story, set 100 years before the events of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Link and Princess Zelda must gather allies across Hyrule to fend off forces led by the evil Calamity Ganon, who is attempting to revive himself and destroy the kingdom. So this game is a prequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild that came out in 2017. So this game basically aims to explain like what happened, because for those of you that have played Breath of the Wild, it literally, like when you start, it literally just tells you like, oh, some stuff happened back 100 years ago, but hey, now we're in the now, you need to do what needs to be done. So basically this game aims to fill that gap in our knowledge, and oof, it did fill it well. A lot of people were apprehensive about this game, it being a Warriors game. For the uninitiated, a Warriors game is basically a game where you find yourself fighting hordes of enemies at once, like 100 at once. Despite being different from the previous game, it was still able to establish itself well as a nice new Zelda game, you know. The music was beautiful. I love that they didn't really reuse anything. They revamped a lot of the tracks we already knew. It also gave us a chance to use some NPCs that we loved that were just in the previous game. So getting a chance to use these characters that you love and talked to in the previous game was super nice to see. I really liked it. I think everyone should play it if you ever get a chance to snag it. Did you really think I was going to leave Persona 5 out of this list? Like, dude, I'm the Persona girl. So, Persona 5 is a fantasy based on reality which follows a group of troubled high school students, the protagonist and a collection of compatriots he meets along the way. These disturbed and troubled teenagers gradually realize they're living in a toxic and dangerous world resembling a prison full of slavery, oppression and injustice, ruled by corrupted and twisted adults. To be honest, the synopsis for this game is so long, I had to cut it off at that point because it's so hard to be able to give somebody a definitive explanation about this game without spoiling too much. Basically, the protagonist and his friends are, you know, have been alienated by society, but for one thing or another. One is a foreigner, so people make fun of her. The other one is a delinquent. Another one is basically, you know, a hermit. She just stays at home because she's has social skills or whatever. I don't want to go into detail. But, you know, this was a game that I really fell in love with because I loved the whole idea of misfits fitting in together, you know, finding their place with one another, and I found that really cute. That was heartwarming. I hold this game to my heart. So this game was different from Persona 5 in that they added new mechanics, new characters, new locations, you know, and they also made a lot of things better in the previous game. Like a lot of the issues that were giving us problems in the previous game were revamped, like XP is easier to gain and all that stuff. So I loved the game, the new stuff they added into it. I loved Persona 5, like just the base game already. So when I heard it was getting this version, I immediately had to hop onto it. Great game, great story, great characters, great music especially. I can't recommend this game enough. Drum roll please. And my number 1 game is Breath of the Wild. I know a lot of you are going like, oh, I expected that. Oh, I'm not surprised. Guys, I'm sorry. I literally love this game with my whole chest. I can't recommend it enough. Breath of the Wild is part of the Legend of Zelda franchise, and it's set at the end of the Zelda timeline. The player controls Link, who awakens from a 100-year slumber to defeat Calamity Ganon and save the Kingdom of Hyrule. You know, I fell in love with Breath of the Wild immediately I got into it. The open world exploration was right up my alley. I love games that just like give us big worlds and let us explore it. You know, and the thing with Breath of the Wild is that it's one of those games that it doesn't hold your hand. Like it literally just tells you, oh, this needs to be done, but you know, how you go about it is all up to you. When I look at it, Breath of the Wild didn't necessarily do anything different for a game of its genre. A lot of games have these kinds of mechanics. Like again, just like look at Genshin, which is pretty much a clone. I'm sorry. It's pretty much the same, but you know, what it did differently for the series, not a game of its genre. And I think that's why a lot of us fans really fell for this game. Of course, there's some people who say this is hit or miss because it's too different from the usual Zelda formula, so I don't like it. But I absolutely loved it. I love that they went a different direction in this game. So I can't recommend this game enough. Like, especially if you like Genshin. I'll say this again. If you like Genshin, you will love this game. A lot of the mechanics will be really familiar to you. So if you like this kind of game, I think you should hop onto it. Well, that's my list. Thank you for watching to the end. Thank you for making it to the end. Did any of your favorite games from last year make it onto this list? Are you playing any of these games now? Are you thinking of playing any of these games now? Please let me know in the comments. Comment for me. Tell me about it. And also I will leave a link to an article I wrote about Breath of the Wild down in the description so that you can read that if you want to know a little bit more about the game. Well, on that note, this is Molly-chan. This has been Molly-chan. Thank you for watching my first video of the year, and I hope to make more stuff for you guys. See you next time.